There are all sorts of criteria for what may constitute a boss battler or not, and everyone sets the boundaries of this relatively new genre however which way they want to. True to the kinds of tabletop experiences I seek to cover here at Storytiles, I would be amiss if I didn't narrow down the ever-expanding field of boss battlers to a few requirements which apply to types of adventures I seek out. I agree with most of my peers online who presented their lists of top boss battlers that the boss should make their presence be felt throughout the game, and defeating them is the main challenge. But not just combat that's repetitive and punishing, but learning what their weak points are and what their moves should be. That should be the main form of the discovery process. Also, that different bosses should feel distinctive and varied enough. They also deserve an arena, but the location should not be the focus here, nor any other inhabitants. If you're hacking your way through minions and discovering locations, it's definitely a dungeon crawl and not a boss battler. For a boss battler to be a Storytiles boss battler, it also needs to be a journey. How did we find this boss? Why are we defeating it? Who benefits from it? Is there an actual journey to go on? Or a story to explain why the world allows for this boss to exist? More importantly, there has to be a table presence of sorts. If you are about to go into an epic showdown, what's on your table must look and feel big and climactic. Typically, this means a proper battlefield with miniatures or standees. Flat cards or tiny footprint games need not apply here. They do not give me that epic feel. Now that we've weeded out the mobs around the bosses, we have 15 contenders left in this arena. 3 potentials in the 5 categories that follow: challenge, discovery, variety, journey, and table presence. Let's start by honoring the ones who are more minion than boss, however masterful they were designed. I'll be honest, boss battlers are not my favorite genre. That's due to their heavy focus on singular battles, tactics, and strategy over immersive world building and narrative exploration. So naturally, it's not a genre I have many games of on my shelves. But even I can give recognition to a few close calls, if you will, tempted as I was by their conceptual design, if not tabletop impact. Here are a few honorary mentions. Townsfolk Tussle. A cute retro animation, refreshingly goofy, no campaign, just emergent story, but still, one has to applaud the genius of putting silly Saturday morning cartoon violence front and center in a highly interactive Toonville field of pain with all the Acme gear to go along with. Just seeing this painted and on the table in all its cartoony, however bloody glory brings a maniacal smile to my face. Kinfire Chronicles. What a wonderful unboxing of treasures, all in little scenario boxes waiting to be opened. And the unfolding of story and unboxing of secrets makes this campaign game a delight to experience. This high-stakes production sparked many games in the same world to follow, which makes me kinda sad that I didn't back it when I could. This is designer Kevin Wilson at his best. Final Girl. I got to give credit where credit is due. 4 seasons of homages to the titular heroines of the silver screen, well, different enough to be legally distinct, but we all know a xenomorph or Antarctica organism when we see one. The mix and match system is brilliant and the horror intuitive to the gameplay. It may be too small to give me that feeling of an epic showdown, but it's perfect for an extremely tough challenge every single time. And that's if I can get past that claustrophobic chill late at night when I'm all alone at home. Primal. When Primal and Monster Hunter took center stage, the latter had the IP recognition, but the former riffed on that premise and reinvented it into something new, something stylish, and something altogether sharp. With a surprising amount of backstory and an almost total reduction of the location, Primal wowed not only with its grandiose monsters front and center on the battlefield, but with an overwhelming catalog of creatures to vanquish. On sheer variety and distinctiveness, this one has to be acknowledged. But if there was a category for sexy graphic design, it would squash that one too. The final honorary mention must go to the game that started it all, and if it didn't, it certainly gave rise to the genre's popularity. Kingdom Death Monster. Brutal, nightmarish, adult, but also deeply immersive, enchantingly rich, and surprisingly narrative in its settlement journey. I know this lifetime game is #1 for many folks out there, but its ever-increasing price and niche marketing tactics have made it very hard for folks like myself to catch up on. Beyond these honored entries, there are others that in my opinion moved even further beyond familiar battle arenas, tactics, and expectations with distilled gameplay, grandiose concepts, and out-of-this-world productions. Let's get to them. I'm going to single out 5 boss battlers that have captured my attention for various reasons, highlight what draws me to the main meal, that is the battle, and what they add as a refreshing side dish. Boss with the most table presence, Dante. Based on Dante's Alighieri's 14th century epic poem The Divine Comedy, this game brings that metaphorical journey to life, descending the 9 circles of hell as part of a narrative campaign which culminates into a showdown with one or more of the legendary characters found in the original book. Minos in Limbo, Gluttonous Cerberus, the Furies' Wrath, Achilles, Pluto, all the way down to Lucifer himself. I loved the idea of taking such a classic and quite frankly hard to read book and translating it into a tabletop experience. I knew I was going to be immersed, what with Creative Games Studio having produced the most excellent Chronicles of Drunagor previously. Combining the 3D terrain, the dramatic and detailed sculpts with this classic theme, and you have yourself one heck of a presentation. A gripping 9-chapter branching story ending in 12 epic boss battles on raised plateaus where they use the various terrain against you? Got it. This boss battler transforms your table into an epic arena where you can move around and up and down hoping to eke out a victory against hellish overlords that seem to see all. Grim Coven was a very worthy contender, but the initially unbalanced prototype and chaotic table spread had me not backing the Awakened Realms boss battler, and so that makes Dante, for me, a cleaner experience with still a fantastic table presence and thus the clear-cut winner in this regard. Most challenging boss, Vagrant Song. Final Girl may have been straight up the most challenging one to win, but remember, it's not just about the difficulty. Combat that's repetitive and punishing will not beat understanding the enemy at their heart. In this case, style over force won out. Being vagrants on a ghost train, chasing a dream or running from the past, and then trying to understand why the ghostly haints haunt the wagons just seemed too juicy of a concept for me. Layer this with a lovely early 20th century cartoon style, and you've already defeated me. Don't let the cute acrylic standees fool you. This is a spooky puzzle of a challenge to unravel, and the story is always changing. You see, you're not just trying to defeat the Haints, you're trying to remind them of their lost humanity, all in the hopes of freeing the spirits from the ghost train's bone-chilling grip. Now that's an interesting setup. Our vagrants have their work cut out for them, and will have to use their skills and reach into their bindle bag for junk to keep the Haint at bay, while looking around for clues at the same time. Whether you be a curse bearer, an empress, a songsmith, or runaway, your ride is in need of saving, while you save the soul of the spirit along the way. Boss with the most variety, Marvel United. CMON already does replayability through variety of hero characters very well. Check out any of their other games for that. So it was only a natural progression to extend that principle to the villains and have the heroes team up to bring down a cadre of evil masterminds. Why choose the superhero Marvel United and not the Lovecraftian Cthulhu Death May Die from the same company? Both combine boss battles with pandemic-style firefighting. Not only are there more supervillains to choose from than there are unique elder gods, but the succinct clarity of the confrontation in Marvel United is key because the locations and movement in between don't really matter, and the cat and mouse chase of heroes and villain is often resolved in under 30 minutes as you whittle down the villain's power. This means that, naturally, you need a bigger pool of bosses to choose from, and so, on sheer variety alone, Marvel United stands out. There are even combinations and deviations to the formula, and a campaign to play through all of the heroes and villains. Check out my video on a cinematic Marvel universe. And the fun doesn't stop at the IP's borders. In another superhero universe, the DC heroes and villains rise to the occasion, making me wonder, can you mix and match those with Marvel? Leave a comment below if you know the answer. In the meanwhile, enough said, and make Marvel mine. Best Boss Discovery: Oathsworn. If Steam-forged games diluted the boss battle concept by introducing too many dungeon crawler elements in Dark Souls, perhaps Monster Hunter would be the pure form of experience. I think so, but just like Primal managed to bring something fresh to the table, so did Oathsworn, and in a big way that the formulaic designs of Steam-forged simply couldn't beat. Remember the side dish I mentioned earlier that I would love to see with a main meal of Boss Battler? Well, with Oathsworn Into the Deepwood, that side dish is a meal in itself. 50% of the game is pure choose-your-own-adventure story to give reason and purpose behind each boss battle. Why are you going after a monstrous rat creature that spawns a multitude of rats? What's the deal with the fawn or the worm? Each story is a session in its own right, and each leads up to the inevitable encounter with a boss. These are big, chunky minis navigating equally chunky terrain in a battle of strategy and tactics. Or perhaps they are a multitude of smaller foes. Are they human, monster, insectoid, or alien? That is for you to discover, because as much as this is an experience of story and tactical conflict, it is mostly one of discovery. More so than any other boss battler, Oathsworn has been shrouded by mystery, fans and content creators alike leaving the secrets of who you are going to face locked behind the box lids of each boss. If you truly want to, you could have spoiled it for yourself, but why would you not want to discover all this during the pace of the game? Most Amazing Boss Journey: Aeon Trespass Odyssey. Inspired by the ambitious Kingdom Death monster came one unique game that stood out to me as the one grand experience, the one epic journey that paved the way to a future horde of present and upcoming boss battlers. This one has everything: exploration, story, table presence, but mostly the true feeling of a journey for the ages. And it could not even be surpassed by its medieval successor. This hits all the right triggers for me. A truly heroic expedition and discovery of unknown lands over which a delicious ancient Greek mythology theme is poured with a dash of alternate reality technology. Everything looks and feels epic. Gorgeous sepia visuals in a classical style, or grandiose full color scenes with a dash of the fantastical. References to Olympian gods and heroes, and a meaty, immersive gameplay that requires the proper concentration to achieve a flow state. Are there any flaws to all of this? Sure. The story can feel disconnected to what you discover on the landscape cards, but that's easily remedied by choosing rather than randomly rolling for narrative encounters. The rules can be a bit crunchy and lacking intuitiveness, but that has never stopped me from enjoying my Iliad, my Odyssey. Sadly, the strongest deterrent can be the price tag. ATO is expensive, if not hard to find. And even for me, the follow-up Acts 4 and 5, as well as the 12 Sins of Heracles, have become unaffordable, so I won't be able to expand my experience. But there are other forms of expansion. Author Stephen Fry's series of whimsical retellings will accompany and delight me as I initiate a new hobby initiative involving minis from Mythic Battles Pantheon and Twisted Fables and the Solomon Kane Virtue mechanic to elevate my ultimate Greek mythology experience to godly heights. Stay tuned for future coverage. In the meanwhile, those were my top 5 boss battlers: Dante Inferno, Vagrant Song, Marvel United, Oathsworn Into the Deepwood, and Aeon Trespass Odyssey. There are many more that will be arriving as the genre appears to have exploded, and maybe one day I will cover another one, because beyond battling bosses in heated battle, what's most important is that we keep exploring.